Sports Snippets, Dennis Sullivan. Welcome. It is Sunday, the 29th of December. Back for another recap of another exciting, amazing win by the Miami Heat. I mean, when will it stop? Can we win a game by 12 points or 15? I don't know, but I'll take the wins. Yeah, unbelievable stuff, guys. Great to have you on here watching this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe below should you enjoy the content of this video. Also, it's very important, please comment, share with me your thoughts on the Heat 1-point victory over the Philadelphia 76ers and anything else related to the Miami Heat. As stated, the Heat pull another one out. Another close one out, 117-116 in overtime. That's right, we saw the regulation, all kinds of drama. 1-point victory in overtime at home. The Heat are now 6-0 in overtime games, believe it or not, and we are 8-1. That's right, 8-1 in games that are decided by 5 points or less. 5 points or less games that are decided, in other words, a close game, also known as a close game. The Heat are 8-1. Unbelievable, guys, and that is point number one there on the snippets board. The fact not only are we 6-0 in overtime, but boy, I mean, we just really seem to pull out these close games. Coach Spoelstra gets a lot of credit for that, mixing and matching the lineups, the matchups, all that stuff. He's very good at that. He's got a lot of experience as an NBA coach. It shows in a lot of these close games. Let's get into more of the breakdown of this game. I mean, it was very exciting, guys, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. The bench minutes still, I mean, certainly not a complaint. It's very interesting how we are now using our bench. We kind of go through these different phases of, and of course a lot of that's due to injury, who's healthy, who's not, who's playing well, who's not. The emergence of Derrick Jones Jr. has had a lot to do with how the minutes now are getting dispersed. You know, we can't certainly slow down Derrick Jones Jr. the way that he's been playing on both ends of the floor. So that was something, because of course you're going to get a couple extra minutes in overtime with the short period of overtime, but Goran Dragic plays 35 minutes, Tyler Herro plays 34 minutes, and Derrick Jones Jr. plays a very deserved 37 minutes. That's a lot of minutes, guys. That's starter minutes. You know, that's all-star minutes. All right, so that, I just wanted to kind of point that out early. We're going to touch on that a little bit more in just a few moments as I go through the breakdown of this game and get into a little bit more of how we did this. I mean, I could talk all day, and anyone really who watches this game can discuss number of different things that went on. I mean, from the Dragic foul to all of a sudden we can't hit free throws, and the Ben Simmons follow-up, which was legit. It was legit that he scored on that follow-up on the missed free throw, which, yes, did graze the rim, and yes, it did tie the game, which none of us Heat fans wanted to see. But hey, that stuff happens. You know, that stuff happens. Getting in a little bit more of the breakdown of this game, the Heat were led once again by Jimmy Butler with 25 points. He had 9 rebounds, another big rebound game for Jimmy Butler, and 9 assists. Not one of his better shooting games. He was 7 of 21 from the field. A few of the Heat players had tough numbers from the field, didn't convert like they normally do. I would have to credit some of this to the 76er defense. They were playing very aggressively. They're an aggressive team. They're feisty. They're tough. I mean, this is a good 76er team. They went into the second round of the playoffs last year, as we all know, and they gave the Toronto Raptors everything they could stand in that series, and they almost beat the Toronto Raptors, who, as we know, wound up winning the NBA title last year. and the NBA championship over the Golden State Warriors. So that was something else as far as, when I look at the different performances. Duncan Robinson, on the other hand, though, as I'm looking here at my breakdown and the numbers and how it all factored in, Duncan Robinson didn't miss a shot. He was 6 out of 6 from the field. He got into some foul trouble. He was 4 of 4 from 3, finished with 16 really important, really big points. Didn't play a lot of minutes, but again, I mean, he had 5 fouls, so there's no injury or anything like that that I'm aware of, unless that's something that we've, or at least that I've yet to discover. I double checked this right before the video. Is he injured in any way? I didn't find anything, but interesting to see his minutes were something like 19. So this is a team where it's tough to get playing time, though. This is when you're 24-8. It's tough to get those minutes, I would imagine. Bam Adebayo, not one of his better games. He had to contend. He was inside, trying to slow down the one and only Joel Embid. Not an easy task for anyone. So Bam, as far as putting up good scoring numbers and things like that, he had other things on his mind, I'm sure. He would finish with 11 points, 3 rebounds. He did have a steal and a block. He's always going to give you that complete game. Is Bam only shot 5 of 14 from the field. So you look, those are our 2 best players. Jimmy Butler was 7 for 21. Bam was 5 of 14. That's a combined 12 of 35. You're looking at just over 33% on those numbers there. Kendrick Nunn, he had a nice jumper there, a clutch jumper in the fourth. Played within himself. I mean, he didn't excel in this game, but he played pretty well. I thought he had 10 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Myers Leonard, 7 points, very important, 8 rebounds for him. So I noticed too on the big defensive stands that we had when the Sixers would have the ball to potentially win the game in overtime, Myers was out there playing defense. So when we need to stop, he's out there. He's on the floor. Very important player for us is Myers Leonard. We just don't see that in the box score all the time. Many times we don't see that in the box score, but he is definitely a very key player for this Miami Heat team. Bench, as stated, 3 guys playing a ton of minutes in Goran Dragic, who would finish with 19 points and 7 assists. He would have a steal and a block. So, I mean, Goran was our second leading scorer with 19. Tyler Herro, 16 points, and here we go again, 5 rebounds. He's rebounding from the guard position. He's a little bit more aggressive than he was perhaps at the beginning of the season. Really showing us his complete game. He had that clutch 3 in regulation off the steal. Unbelievable. We can't get enough of Tyler Herro as Heat fans. So happy that we drafted him, and he's been a big factor for our success this season. Derrick Jones Jr., 13 points. He had 6 rebounds. He also had 3 assists. He would have a steal as well in this game, did Derrick Jones Jr. And, we match him up. I've noticed, he's about 6'6". Derrick Jones Jr., not considered a big guy by NBA standards, but I mean, they match him up, defensively, and as we go back a few games, I mean, he was guarding LeBron, as you recall. So Derrick Jones Jr., can't say enough, played 37 minutes off the bench. So again, Dragic, Herro, and Derrick Jones Jr. would play 35, 34, and 37 minutes respectively. Kelly Olynyk did not score. He had a rebound and he had an assist. Here is the only, I guess you can say, gripe that I have at this very moment, is that Kelly Olynyk, we got to find a way to get him more time. He only had 6 minutes in that game, in the overtime game. Remember how we go back a few games. I mean, even to the Indiana game, he didn't play much. On Friday night, other games, recent games, his minutes have plummeted as of late. That isn't good. But the other side of that, because we got to have Kelly Olynyk out there. He's an important player for our team, but the other side of that, of course, is how are we going to get him the minutes? Okay, how are we going to get him the playing time? And you look at, I mean, we went with 9 guys last night, and the only possible way really would be if you were to limit, for example, Derek Jones Jr.'s minutes, but do we want to do that? My answer would be no. So I don't want to turn this video into how are we going to get minutes for Kelly Olynyk, but that is a concern. We really do need him and his productivity and his assistance off the bench. Okay, he is a solid player off the Heat bench. Moving on to the point number 4. Point number 3 and 4. I'm going to continue on here, by the way, guys, with point number 3 for the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's break it down for them, and then I'll segue right into point number 4. For the Sixers, tough loss for them. They fall to a record of 23-12. Still one of the top teams in the East, hands down. You look at this roster, you look at this team. I mean, they have 2 big stars, Joel Embid and Ben Simmons. They have a nice supporting cast. They're a very good team. Joel Embid, and you also see point number 4, we had no answer for him whatsoever. He dominated the paint. He finished with 35 points and 11 rebounds and a block. So once again, if you look at the elite big men in the NBA, the Miami Heat simply cannot stop them. Now, we can't slow them down. Now, not stopping them is one thing. Not slowing them down is another. You look at Anthony Davis. We couldn't even slow him down. Rudy Gobert. I mean, he scored, this is going back to our last meeting with Utah, something like 18 points, but he dominated. He had like 20 rebounds. He literally had like 20 rebounds. That will not change as I see it unless we add volume, meaning we need another guy, 6'10 at least, or bigger, coming off our bench playing 15 to 20 minutes, maybe even more, give or take on that 15 to 20 minutes. We need another big guy. If that doesn't happen, okay, we can expect to see 35 and 11 from the Joel Embiids and the Anthony Davises and the Goberts. They're gonna own the paint, guys. Josh Richardson, 17 points, 5 rebounds, played pretty well in this game. Ben Simmons, 15 points, 7 rebounds, 11 assists. I'm very impressed with the fact that he had 3 steals. He makes things happen, does Ben Simmons. He had a block shot. For some reason, doesn't really score like he was. I don't know the full reason behind that. I think he's averaging something like, he's under 15 points a game. He's like 14 point something, and I'm kind of, I don't watch all the Sixer game, guys. I only watch them really when they play the Heat. I don't understand that part, but I do know he's a tremendous player, and his stat line is everywhere with the rebounds, with the assists. Where the Heat did benefit and maybe did catch a break, actually we did catch a break with Tobias Harris, who is still nursing that. He wasn't playing 100%. He had that soreness in his hip. I believe it was his right hip, or is his right hip, that's sore. We didn't get a typical Tobias Harris performance. He finished with 12 points, 8 rebounds, only 4 of 15 from the field. Here's a guy that's a 20-point per game scorer, just under 7 rebounds, and he's somewhere around 3 or 4 assists. He's at right around 3 assists. So you look at 20.7 rebounds, 3 assists. This is a good player. Tobias Harris was not 100% for the Miami Heat. For the Philadelphia 76ers, and in a sense, the Miami Heat, who would benefit from the fact that he was not 100%. Al Horford, 7 points, 4 rebounds, really nice addition for the Sixers. Wasn't very active as far as his involvement offensively in this game. Usually you would see him, I remember Al Horford from previous years, very, very, very good rebounder, very good player. He's a nice player to have. I mean, you look at that starting lineup, it's pretty good. Embiid, Richardson, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, and also Al Horford. That's a nice starting 5. For the Sixer bench, very average, I thought. Trey Burke was 11 points. played pretty well. He had 3 rebounds and 4 assists. James Ennis III had 11 points and a steal. Furkan Korkmaz, 5 points and 4 rebounds. He would add a steal. Mike Scott would have 3 points and 3 rebounds off the bench for the Philadelphia 76ers. All the Philadelphia 76er players 6 through 9, all right, just like the Heat, they played 9 as well. The difference is the Sixers went more the traditional route with the minutes. With their bench, they all played somewhere in the 18 to 22 minute range, where the Heat would play 3 of their 4 bench players big minutes. So is one way better than the other. I kind of like how we went about that in this game. Again, Sixers go more the traditional route. Nothing wrong with that. They didn't do anything wrong whatsoever. They're giving more of that playing time to their starting 5, and deservedly so. They have a very talented starting 5. One thing I did notice here, guys, also just a side note, you look at the numbers of both teams, you look at the way this game broke down. I mean, each team hit 10 3-pointers. Sixers had 9 turnovers, we had 8. The free throw shooting was virtually identical. The rebounding was close. They only rebounded us by like 4. It was something like 47 to 43. Okay? Right across the board, this was a very, very even game. And the concern, though, I do have as we get more and more into the season is, are we going to be able to defend premier big guys down low? That's a concern. But you know what, everyone? We're 24-8. Heat are 24-8. Second best record now in the Eastern Conference. Not by a lot, but second best record. Milwaukee's like 29-5 or something ridiculous. We did beat them though. It's early this season. Remember that. The Goran foul. Let's talk about that real quick before we wrap things up with point number 5, which is our next game. The Goran foul on Richardson. He reaches in and then he gets the 2 free throws. Does Richardson? I mean, it happens so quickly, guys. He's definitely trying to avoid the wide open look for a possible game-winning shot. Now, keep in mind, Josh Richardson, he was far from the basket. I mean, this would have been a 3-point attempt. But had Goran Dragic let him go, he would have had a wide open look. And this is the NBA, folks, that we're watching here. We are watching NBA players. So, did he make the right move? You can certainly argue that he didn't. But can you see maybe where he was at in that given moment? He probably can. Was a little surprised. Jimmy Butler's one heck of a free throw shooter. He did miss a couple of key free throws down the stretch. Could be due to fatigue. I mean, he lets it all go in these games, guys. I mean, Jimmy Butler, along with the rest of the team, but he leads by example. I mean, he's given 120% out there, and it's late in the game, and he still finished somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 out of 13. I could be wrong on that, but he was somewhere in that range from the free throw line. But he did hit that key one to put us ahead. He went 1 out of 2 there at the end. So we'll take it. Another big victory for the Miami Heat, 24-8. I'm telling you, if the big winners here are the Heat season ticket holders. Do you think they're getting their money's worth this season, everyone? I would say they are. Point 5, and to close out, next game for the Heat will be on Monday. This is the 30th of December, our last game of 2019. We will be going up against the Washington Wizards, who are towards the bottom of the Eastern Conference with a record of 9-22. If you recall, a little bit earlier this season, they did give the Heat some fits. This is a high-scoring team. This is a talented offensive team. The Heat, there were times where they did look a little fatigued in this one. Maybe it's mental as much as physical. I will say in the fourth quarter, we had a couple of guys roll into that basket that could have, I don't see why not, could have scored an easy bucket, but we didn't find them. It happened twice. Not going to bring up who missed who and all that stuff, but we did pass up a few easy opportunities in the fourth quarter if we just looked for the open man. And they were both pretty much backdoor type opportunities. So this Heat team might be, understandably so. I mean, we might be a little bit fatigued here, if not physically, mentally. So watch out for that game coming up on Monday the 30th against the Wizards. A little bit of a trap game. We're on the road. We know Washington can score points, so let's see how that goes. So for now, everyone, Dennis Sullivan, Sports Snippets, I will see you, yes, you, next time. And let's go Heat, 24-8. We'll take it. Here we go. See you next time.